internet's ability to facilitate anonymity. And I'm not sure if I totally buy into that. I think certainly there is something disinhibitory about the internet, whether that's the speed and the immediacy of it, or whether that's the fact that it's often text-based rather than face-to-face, I don't know. I will say that the worst harasser I ever had actually used his real name, and was not altogether strident in covering up his tracks either. In fact, I did some pretty quick Google foo and found out that they were a 42-year-old part-time financial consultant living in Boston who writes Dracula fanfiction and enjoys long-distance running. So I don't know if it's necessarily an anonymity thing. Whereas in his book Angry White Men, Michael Kimmel talks about entitlement being at the root of a lot of male domestic violence. He used to run sessions for men who had beaten their partners, and he talks about an incident where one guy said that he just lost control and beat his wife while she was chopping vegetables. And this idea of losing control was a common thread, he said. And Michael Kimmel asked this guy, he said, well, why didn't you just stab her then? If she had the knife and you were really angry at her and you lost control, why didn't you stab her? And the guy was horrified. He said, no, I would never do that. I was just angry at her. I just hit her. I would never stab my wife. I love her very much. And Kimmel says, well, then you were in control because you chose one form of violence rather than the other. It's not about you losing control. It's about you felt angry and you felt entitled to use that specific form of violence, but not another one. And he says that this was a real breakthrough in that guy's understanding of what he'd done. And that idea of entitlement being at the root of a lot of shitty behaviour is one that I find quite explanatory. I think one way of tackling entitlement that people might feel to bully and harass on YouTube is to ensure that it does have consequences, and that might mean muting, it might mean blocking. If you are a creator engaging in it, then that might mean you don't get invited to events and so on. At its mildest, it might mean people calling you out. Rowan, again, on the panel, suggested that sometimes in extreme cases we could get the police involved, and yeah, I guess that's for the people involved to decide. Some of the stories coming out of Gamergate were that the police weren't really tech savvy enough to understand what was going on, but I wouldn't know. I've never tried to get them involved in that sort of thing. Those are steps that don't fetishize the pain, but actually directly confront the labour that produces it. And those sorts of avenues are the ones that I'm more interested in exploring when we talk about bullying and harassment on YouTube. Thank you for watching. I'm planning on doing a few more in this series, The Philosophy of YouTube, to use YouTube as a teaching tool, but also to take a bit more of a place in the YouTube community, even if it's only as the gadfly of YouTube, as Stephen Bridges once described me. So I hope you liked it. Let me know what you thought. Patreon.com/philosophytube helps me pay rent and stay alive. Please consider signing up and giving me a couple dollars a month if you like what I do, or for one-time donations, I have a tip jar at paypal.me/philosophytube.